44 days. That's the average amount of time it takes to close on a real estate transaction with a mortgage in the United States. But does it really need to take that long? Today we're going to talk about how we're able to cut that time in half with our streamlined mortgage approval process. The chart behind me represents what happens during the mortgage approval process. This is after you've already found a property and have submitted all of your documents to the lender for approval. Anything above the line are items that you know are happening during that process because you're involved with them. Anything below the line is what's happening more or less behind the scenes. These are things that are happening with the lender or third-party services that are provided to the lender for your loan. So we start with your loan application. It's simple. You've probably done that up front. That's what you did in order to get pre-approved for your mortgage. And at the same time, you provided documents for review. But these documents had to be reviewed by whoever your lender was. And the amount of time it takes a lender to get to those documents and provide their review and approval of those documents can vary from one lender to another. Where we excel is that we guarantee you we'll be reviewing those documents within 6 to 24 hours, depending on the time of day in which they're submitted to us. This saves you at least 2 days in the mortgage process. From there, we have to prepare mortgage disclosures. Again, something that can take 24 to 72 hours on average for most lenders. We do this within 24 hours of receiving what's called a closing disclosure from the title company handling the closing of your property. From there, they're sent to our clients, or we even sit down with you, meeting face-to-face to sign them all with you. We review the documents page by page so that you understand exactly what you're getting yourself into and that it's the terms that were agreed upon. Once we have your signed disclosures, your file is submitted to processing, which we handle in our office. This streamlines the process because we're not outsourcing this to a third party in order to handle it for us. This is something that's typical of most banks or lenders. Next is the processor has to go ahead and order all of the third-party services that are required for your mortgage. These are things such as your appraisal, your title work, homeowner's insurance, tax transcripts to verify that the tax returns provided are accurate. These are third-party services that you might not even be aware of that have to be ordered on the back side of the transaction. From there, we actually have to go ahead and order the appraisal, as we said, and you know that's taking place because in most cases, your realtor will contact you to let you know the day and time at which it's happening. What's actually happening once that appraisal comes in is it needs to be reviewed. So once it's looked over to make sure that it's compliant, it's then submitted along with the other third-party services that have been delivered by that point to the underwriter. The underwriter is the person who makes the final decision as to whether or not we can grant credit to you as a borrower. They're going to review all the documents provided that were previously reviewed by both the lender or originator and the loan processor. It's really a final check before issuing a commitment to lend you the money. Once the underwriter has done their initial underwrite, they issue a loan commitment, which is provided to you and your realtor. This commitment will typically require specific conditions that are needed in order to fully approve your loan. This could be a letter of explanation for something on your credit report, possibly a letter for past addresses, an updated pay stub or bank statement. Those are typical conditions of the loan process. Now, where we save a lot of time in the underwriting is that we handle underwriting in-house. So we have full control over our pipeline on an area that might take a lender about a week to a week and a half to get to. It only takes us between 24 and 48 hours to underwrite the file. Once you provide your conditions, they're going to be reviewed by the underwriter. They want to make sure that it's everything that was requested from you in order to issue that final approval. This process, on average, with most lenders, is going to take an additional 3 to 4 days. With us, it takes 24 hours. Once again, everything's handled in-house and we control the pipeline. The conditions are underwritten and a final approval, also known as a clear to close, is issued to you as a borrower. At that point, we can schedule your closing and send out a closing disclosure. The closing disclosure needs to be sent to you for review at least 3 business days prior to your closing date. The CD is prepared and sent to you to sign. From there, your closing documents are prepared and sent to the title company. Once those documents get to the title company, they can schedule the time for your closing and your closing can take place. It's important to ask the right questions of your lender up front before you make the commitment to working with them. You really need to know whether or not they're handling their process in-house or outsourcing it to a third party. This will determine exactly how long it's going to take to close on your new home. We have an extremely transparent process here, and that's why we're able to close loans in half the amount of time of the US average of 44 days.